이렇게 되면 다음 드래곤 한타 때 또 전멸이 없게 됩니다.
그렇죠.
그러면 아무래도 또 한타를 지기 때문에 또 주는 선택을 하게 되겠죠.
네.
그러다 보면 아무래도 용이 계속 쌓여서 좀 더 게임이 숨이 막히지 않을까. 네.
여기서 그냥
싸움을
과감한
겁니다.
과감-
싸움을 전에.
잡았어요.
여기서 키를 놓았죠.
네.
자, 이동하면서 크레이지 한번 붙어봅니다. 매드라이프.
네. 한 명 먼저 잘랐고
네.
이거 4대5예요 4대5
자, 4대5 상황에서 화염들은 바로 앞에.
용 쳐볼 수도 있는데
네.
에버도 카이팅 조합이기 때문에 계속 툭툭 던질 거예요. 창 던지고 제 애쉬 이렇게 얼음 화살 쏘고
네.
자, CJ는 그냥 낼 수 없겠죠?
들어가나요?
드래곤
뺐어요.
CJ
뺐었고,
얻었고.
나도 왔다.
기가 막히게 찔러줬죠. 자, 크레이지까지 녹고 있습니다. 하루는 잡았습니다. 크레이머 선수가 크레이지까지 잡아주면서 그냥 손해만 보진 않았습니다.
근데 아쉽게 이 정글러가 잡히면서 좀 더 저는 이제 바론까지 이어지지 않을까 싶었는데 일단 그냥 바로 바텀 타워.
하루에게는 완전히 좀 트라우마가 될 수 있을 만한 데뷔전이 이어지고 있습니다. 전반적으로 시작과 동시에 뭔가를 좀 하지 못한 채 눌린 경우가 종종 있었거든요. 지금 양해한 시점 못 썼죠?
네, 양해한 시켜도 그래도 괜찮아요. 용 뺏었잖아요.
네.
용 뺏은 걸 긍정적으로 생각하고 결국 한타를 이겼다는 점에서
다시 한번 살펴보겠습니다. 화염드래곤 상황에서 먼저 들기기 시작했던 CJ였고요.
여기서 용 챙기고
여기서
근데 체력이 너무 없었어요 하루 선수.
그리고 라이브 상황에서 로컨 선수가
네, 바드와 합작으로 빅투를 잘라내는 모습이었던 것 같아요.
네. 지금 로컨 선수가 순식간에 미드 지역이었죠? 미드 지역의 상대편 빅토르 BDD를 끌어주는 그런 모습이 있었는데요.
상황이 제대로 나오진 않았는데 아무래도 예상상 바드가 궁극기를 써서 묶었고
네.
바로 애쉬 궁극기 통해서 빅토르가 이렇게 전사한 모습인 것 같아요. 근데 빅토르가 죽으면서 같이 데려갔어요.
그렇죠?
4대4인 상황이고요.
지금 상황에서 하나씩 주고받았습니다만 미드를 내줬다라는 오호! 블레스!
이렇게 창으로 하나씩 가져가면 정글러 입장에서는 기분이 굉장히 좋지 않거든요.
네.
확실히 정글 기싸움에서 이 블랙스 선수랑 하루 선수 이게 아마추어 첫 데뷔인데
그렇죠. 느낌은 좀 차이가 납니다.
네, 블랙스 선수가 더 좋은 모습 보여주고 있어요. 니달리로.
지금 반면에 하루는 좀 어려운 시기입니다.
하루 선수는 이럴 때일수록 긴장을 풀면서 좀 더 좋은 생각을 해야 합니다. 긍정적인 생각을 해야 좀 게임이 잘 되거든요.
네, 혼자서도 안 돼요. 팀원들이 더 다독여줘야 어느 정도 긴장도 풀 수 있고. 네, 그리고 바텀 1차까지.
네, 탑 1차 철거했죠.
네, 다
네.
들어갑니다.
바텀도 이제 아래쪽에 내려가고 있었으니까요. 그러니까 전반적인 타워 컨트롤 3개째까지 ESC 에버가 잡아냈고요. 크레이지의 에코, 특히나 평행시간 교차로 상대편 같이 묶어주는 장면들도 오늘 많이 보여줍니다. 지금 유틸성의 스킬들이 많다는 말씀해 주셨는데 그런 것들을 잘 쓰고 있는데요, 지금까지는요.
네, 정말 잘 사용하고 있죠. 바드의 이 소용돌이 궁극기 활용과
네.
애쉬의 화살까지 잘 맞추면서 이득 정말 많이 챙겨가고 있어요. 물론 방금 한타 전투 바드가 끊기면서 용한타 4대5로 이루어졌었고 어느 정도 글로벌 골드 따라갔지만
마지막은 데이지네요.
네. 그래서 용 챙기고 있는 상황이나 결국 유리한 건 ESC이기 때문에
네.
또 좋은 상황 만들 수 있을 것 같아요.
자, 지금은 사실 막 교전하기는 좀 빡빡한 상황입니다. 뒤쪽으로 좀 이동하고 있습니다. 자, 화염 드래곤 하나를 얻어내고 있는 CJ. 반면에 ESC는 보신 바와 같이 화염 드래곤 하나와 바람이 두 개, 바다가 두
바다
개였고요. 이제 다음 이제 마지막 세 번째 들어오는 데이지가 등장했습니다.
바다의 드래곤이 많으면 많을수록 이제 대치를 한 상황에서 많이 유리해지죠. 또한
네.
이제 ESC 에버의 조합은 아무래도 포킹과 약간 좀 대치를 잘 하는 조합이기 때문에 더 시너지가 생기는 그런 드래곤이죠.
근데 보시면 에버가 확실히 자르는 위주의 플레이를 계속하고 있지 대치로 가고 있지는 않거든요. 그러니까 정면 한타는 어느 정도 ESC도 피하고 있다는 뜻이에요.
네.
그래서 저는 이 바다 드래곤을 2개를 먹기는 했지만 결국 그거를 활용하고 있지는 않고 결국 화염 드래곤 하나씩 챙겼죠.
그렇죠.
그런 점에서 일단 용적인 부분에서는 저는 CJ 입장에서 크게 차이 안 나니까 걱정하지 말자. 용은 걱정하지 말자. 이런 쪽으로 가고 있는 것 같고.
그 말씀하신 것처럼 ESC 에버가 바다 드래곤에서 얻을 수 있는 탱키한 그런 유닛이 아니라 탱키한 유닛이 있어줘야지 바다 드래곤이 더 힘을 내는데
네.
그런 것들이 존재하지 않은 것을 유틸성에 멈출 수 있는 그 유틸성의 스킬로 시간을 벌고 있는 그런 상황이 되겠는데요.
참.
자, 이번에 데미지가 좀 깊이 많이 들어가죠, 블레스.
네, 그리고 아까 잠깐 못 짚고 넘어간 것 같긴 한데
네.
네, 로컨 선수가 궁극기를 사용했죠. 한번 자르려고 사용을 했다가 아무래도 못 맞춘 모양이에요.
한참 전에였네요. 저희가 못 봤습니다.
네.
나오는 대로 체크되는 대로 말씀드리도록 하겠습니다. 시간이 절반 지나갔네요.
근데 궁극기는 계속 쏴줘야 되거든요.
그렇죠.
ESC 에버 입장에서는 저런 행동을 맞지 않더라도 계속해서 해주어야 합니다.
네. 자, ESC 에버가 그만큼 뭐 전반적인 라인에서의 컨트롤 기분 좋게 이뤄내고 있다는 그런 말씀도 될 것 같습니다.
저는 CJ가 이 상황을 어느 정도 복구하기 위해서 운타라 선수의 과감한 텔레포트가 필요하지 않을까 싶어요.
아, 네.
그리고 계속 손해를 보고 있는 게 이 바드와 애쉬의 궁극기를 통해서 한 명씩 잘리면서 먼저 손해를 보고 있거든요.
네.
그런 점에서 어느 정도 과감함으로 운타라 선수의 순간이동, 뒤 텔레포트를 통해서 먼저 싸움을 열어봐야 어느 정도 상황을 바꿀 수 있지 않을까 싶어요.
네, 운타라의 뒤틀린 전진의 시동이 좀 필요하다는 말씀이신데요.
네.
그만큼 지금 약간은 전투가 벌어졌을 때 ESC의 유퇴성 멈추게 만드는 그런 스킬에 굉장히 좀 괴롭힘을 당하고 있는 CJ 엔투스입니다.
그렇죠. 또한 그런 뒷 순간 이동을 잘 활용하기 위해서는 아무래도 와드의 위치가 굉장히 중요합니다. 하지만 지금 CJ의 와드는 거의 다 이렇게 블레스 선수가 제거해주고 있거든요.
네.
좀 더 적극적인 와드 활용이 필요한 CJ 입장에선 필요합니다 지금.
자, 시야 확보. 네.
네, 설계가 중요하다는 뜻이죠.
그런 시야가 확보가 돼야지 제대로 된 설계가 이루어질 텐데요. CJ 엔투스도 자신의 탑 쪽에 이제 시야 확보를 조금씩 해내고 있습니다. 바론 근처에 여러 가지를 깔아놓고 있습니다. 시야 확보 용도로요.
사실 그 설계를 해도 정말 쉽지 않아요. 이게 결국 아질의 밀쳐내는 스킬도 있고 결국 딜러를 물지 않는 한 어느 정도 각을 만들기가 쉽지 않을 거거든요.
네.
이렇게 대지의 용을 주는 건
네.
너무 쉽게 주는 것 같은데요.
아, 네 번째 용까지.
종류별로 지금 다 얻어내고 있습니다. ESC 입장에서는 굉장히 좀 좋은 상황들입니다. 드래곤, 특히나 드래곤 입장에서는 말이죠. 그리고 정글을 돌면 상대편 정글 레드 쪽까지 이동했는데요. 이거를 그냥 또 허용하는데요.
이러면 이제 에버는 바론 쪽에 포커스를 좀 더 두고
네.
시야를 다 지우면서 이제 낚시 플레이 바론 쪽에서 위치를 바꿀 것 같거든요.
오!
근데 CJ가 먼저 치나요?
이거 지나치는
네.
과감한 거 아닌가? 이거 보고 있는데요.
왜 애쉬 바텀에 있어요? 애쉬 바텀에 있어요?
애쉬.
네.
애쉬는
올라가고
아래쪽
있고
애쉬 궁극기 지금 날아가고 있거든요.
상하살 오고 있어요.
오고 있어요.
맞아요.
턴쪽 크레이머.
그 순간에도
일단 발로 묶었고요. 크레이머 녹았습니다만
그래도 아직 멀어요.
파란색
CJ가 먹었고
CJ 뒤로 빠져나요. 뒤로.
크레이지 지금 gat혀 있어요 안에.
크레이지 지금 나왔고요.
나가야죠. 근데 이제 애쉬 합류했어요.
네.
이제 애쉬 합류했고
일단 뭐 로카온의 마법 수정 화살이 크레이머를 거의 녹이다시피 제대로 꽂혔는데 그 이후 전투 상황에서 일단 바론을 획득하는 데 성공한 것은 CJ 엔투스였습니다.
CJ가 바텀에 애쉬가 보이는 걸
여기서
보자마자
바로
또 물었어.
또
물었어요.
물었어요 또.
키 물었습니다. 피해들이.
잡혔고 이거 따라가요. 하지만 애쉬의 슬로우 때문에
네.
따라가는. 저는 이 바론에 있어서 아까 방금 언급 드린 것처럼
네.
좀 더 ESC가 위쪽으로 동선을 잡았어야 했다고 보거든요.
네.
바텀에 오래 있었고 CJ가 그걸 잘 캐치했습니다.
자, 방금 전 전투 상황입니다. 여기서 원거리에서 아주 멀리서 뭔가 날아오고 있습니다.
네. 그래서 날아왔고 이즈리얼한테 바로 꽂히죠. 지금
여기까지 괜찮았는데 여기서 이제
이렇게 꽂혀서 순삭하는가 싶어서 정말 좋은 그림을 만드나 싶었으나
네.
애쉬가 너무 멀었어요.
그렇습니다.
너무 멀었고 바론도 지금 챙긴 상황이었고요. CJ가.
운명의 소용돌이가 버틸 수 있는 시간대가 그렇게 원하는 만큼은 아니었습니다. 자, 블레스가 위쪽으로 빠져나가는 거 이번엔 동상으로 한번 시도를 해봤습니다만 그대로 블레스는 유유히 정글 쪽으로 빠져나갑니다.
여러분 바론 시간 동안 CJ가 어느 정도 주도권을 잡을 수 있는 상황이 만들어졌어요.
네.
적극적으로 지금 미드 타워 공략하고 모이는 모습이죠.
다시 한번 위쪽으로 올라갑니다. 지금까지 타워적인 측면에서는 상대편과 한 개 정도밖에 수치의 차이가 없었는데요.
네. 이거 이니시를 열어서 이거 딱 이길 수 있을지 이거 판단하기 쉽지 않을 텐데요. ESC.
자, 이번에 바론의 이득을 잘 얻어내고 있는 CJ 엔투스. 자, 미드죠. 1차 타워를 손에 넣었습니다.
그리고 시야 장악 블루 쪽까지.
지금까지는 그 설계하기 위한 시야가 충분히 나오지 못했었는데 이제 잘 치러내고 있고 남은 시간이 촉박한 상황에는 이제 장로 드래곤이 등장을 합니다.
그렇죠. 말씀드리는 순간 이제 ESC 에버 입장에서는 탑의 빅 웨이브를 정리하면서
네.
조금 시야도 장악을 해주는 모습입니다.
그 상대편 정글 쪽 깊게 들어가면서 역시 그 부분 정리를 하고 있습니다. 블레스는 충분히 자신의 데뷔전에서 인상 깊은 모습을 선보이고 있습니다. 자, 앞쪽에 운타라의 마오카이. 자, 단단함으로 기다리고 있는 상황이고요. 운타라는 보시는 바와 같이 평소보단 잘합니다. LCK 평균에는 좀 못 미치는데 평소보단 잘하고 있습니다.
아,
네.
아니, 전 운타라 선수가 이런 탱커형 챔피언을 정말 잘 쓴다고 생각해요. 실제로도 되게 본인 스스로도 선호하고요.
네.
근데 여기서
여기서도
로컨
잠깐 묵혔는데 잠깐
로컨
하루 잡혔습니다. 매드라이프. 이 좁은 지역에서 일단 여기서 로컨을 내줬네요.
이렇게
이거
되면
바텀 2차까지 지금 압박하러 갈 수 있는 상황이죠?
충분히 가능하겠죠?
이렇게
네.
되면 지킬 수 없는 상황이 돼버리죠.
네.
빅토로 2차 밀고 있고 바텀에 아지로 와서 여기 막는다고 쳐도 돌려깎기 당할 거거든요?
지금 크레이지 선수가 리콜을 하고 있었는데 지금 운타라 선수가 끊는 모습이었거든요. 이렇게 되면 수비를 하기가 굉장히 힘들어지죠.
그렇습니다. 2차 타워를 두 개 동시에 노릴 수 있을 만한 환경하지만 보지역의 2차 타워만 밀어내고 있습니다. CJ 엔투스.
애쉬 아직 20초 남았어요.
네.
20초 동안 타워 하나 정도 더 가져가야 할 것 같은데요, CJ?
아직까지 바로 버프가 남아있는 상황에서 미드 아니면 보신데
네.
세력을 많이 깎아놓고 아직 정리를 하지 못하고 있는 CJ 엔투스입니다.
세 라인을 동시에 지금 견제를 하는 모습이죠.
네.
근데 이제 애쉬 나올 시간 다 됐고 타워 공략까지는 못하네요, 결국?
이거는 얻어낼 수 있을 만한 것들을 어떻게 보면 ESC 에버가 잘 막아낸 셈이네요.
네, 저는 이 정도 30분 중후반이면
네.
애쉬 끊긴 거에 있어서 되게 치명적이게 작용하지 않을까 싶었는데 네. 먼저 대기하고 있었어요.
네. 로컨이 이동하는 것 이동했습니다. 운명의 승으로 잠시야는 멈춰는 줬습니다만 그 이상은 없었고.
저 바드의 게이트가
네.
원딜을 죽음으로 몰아넣었네요.
그렇습니다. 원치 않은 길을
오,
열고.
네.
블레스 선수.
혼돈의 폭풍이 그리고 정전을 일격. 플래스를 섬뜩하게 만듭니다.
이거 힐 없었으면 위험할 수도 있었어요.
그러니까요. 지금 다 썼네요.
그래도 뭐 잘 살아나가고 이런 근데 다음 용이 이제 이게 장로 드래곤이거든요.
네.
여기서는 싸움을 피할 수가 없습니다.
그렇습니다.
저는 여기서는 이제 CJ도 충분히 싸워볼 만해요. 글로벌 골드 원래 7천 정도까지 차이가 났었는데
네.
4천까지 따라왔고 이제
보입니다.
5대5로 모이면 이제 잘리는 상황까지는 아니고 이제 결국 5대5 정면 한타란 말이죠.
그렇죠.
자, 이번 장로 드래곤으로 버프 받을 수 있는 상황은 지금 스택 쌓은 드래곤의 50% 이상 다 상향이 되고요.
양팀 모두 지금 얼마나 서로 설계를 잘하느냐가 관건입니다.
네.
그런 면에서 지금 CJ는 먼저 와서 기다리는 모습이죠.
지금 잘리기 전에 우리가 먼저 대기 쳐서 잡는다. 그런 생각으로 지금 대기를 타고 있고 이제 시야.
시즌 대결기 하고 있습니다. 거기 시야는 있나요? 지금 ESC 핑은 찍는 모습인데 아직 시야는 잘 보이지 않습니다.
네.
그래서 일단은 매를 날려보면서 그 위치를 한번 파악을 했습니다.
바닥에를 먹어주고요.
네.
이런 마오카이가 순간이동 탈 곳이 좀 딱히 아직 보이진 않아서 좀 진영이 지금 중요해요.
그렇습니다. 자, 드래곤 뒤쪽에서 한번 대기하고 있는 CJ 미드 지역을 밀어붙이는 선택을 하고 있는 ESC입니다.
네 이거 빅토르 늦으면 이거 미드 2차 이거
미드 2차 나가고요.
나갔고 이거
들어가는
미드 3차까지 강제시킨 다음에
네.
이거 장로로 바로 돌 것 같거든요. ESC
뒤로 그냥 뺍니다.
네 빼죠. 빼서 이거 시야 다시 잡아야 합니다.
자, 일단 하지만 텔레포트가 두 개가 다 남아 있거든요. CJ 엔투스 역시. 자, 여기 이동할 수 있을 만한 그러니까 와드는 박혀 있긴 합니다만 그쪽으로 가지는 않았습니다. 아직까지는 한번 살펴봅니다.
또한 지금 보면은 바론이 45초밖에 남지 않았습니다.
네.
이런 식으로 서로 장시간 대치를 하게 되면은
저 좁은 곳에 지금 와드가 여기 있어서 들어가는 거 봤을 것 같거든요. 어느 정도는.
포기하는
빠져나가는
모습입니다.
거.
네 그냥 빠져나가서
네, 이런 식으로 장시간 대처를 하게 되면 아무래도 바론과 용 둘 중에 하나를 선택하는 모습이 보일 것 같습니다. 조만간.
자, 지금 상황에서는 굉장히 위험한 구간으로 돌입했습니다. 지금 상황에서의 전멸 자체는 그대로 그냥 굿바이거든요.
네. 그래서 뭐 지금 바로 장로 드래곤으로 갈 것 같지 않다는 움직임 때문에
네.
ESC 지금 정비해 오면서 아이템 갖추는 모습이고 이제 어디로 시야 잡을지가 중요해요. 바론도 나오고 장로 드래곤도 나와 있습니다.
그리고 바론도 핑을 찍는 모습이죠.
네. 양상을 보면 그냥 서로 하나씩 먹자 이런
네.
구도가 올 때도 있어요.
자, ESC 에버는 그래서 약간은 바론 쪽에 치우친 움직임을 보여주는데요. 일단 바위계로 시야를 확보하고 있는 플랜.
과감하게 시작하는
거나요?
모습이죠.
이거 바로
겁니다. 시야가 없나요?
근데 어느 정도 눈치챌 수 있거든요.
올라갑니다.
눈치챘어요.
자, BDB와
빨라요,
매달
빨라요.
빨라요.
올라왔어요. 바로
늦었어요.
바로 먹고
잡아내고
수정 화살.
뺐어요.
양현식
양현식
살리긴 했는데 이거 빠져야 돼.
크레이지
빠져야
선수가
돼.
잘 들어갔어요. 지금 크레이지
에코!
스턴
크레이지가 깊이 들어갔죠. 크레이지.
네.
문타라까지 BDD
버텼어요. 하지만 크레이머
못 도망가요.
운타라까지 여기서 녹여버립니다. 4명을 제거하는 성공했습니다. ESC 에버.
이거 이러면 게임 끝날 수도 있겠는데요?
이러면 굿바이 전투죠.
이렇게 되면 게임이 끝날 것 같습니다.
아,
아무도 있고
네.
지금 4명 살아있고 지금 크레이머 선수 지금 혼자서 이거 원딜 혼자서 이거 막을 수가 없거든요.
미드 지역 미니언 웨이브조차도 시간대가 너무 좋아서
네.
이게 실질적으로 굉장히 어려울 것 같습니다. CJ.
네, 그 쌍둥이 나가고
원딜 혼자서는 이렇게 5만 대군을
막습니다.
막을
그대로 나갔죠. 크레이머 어렵습니다. 크레이머도 여기서 인사를 해야 될 때 그대로 인사를
마무리.
합니다. 첫 번째 개막전 경기 최재 경기를 마무리 짓습니다. ESC 에버입니다. 시작 자체 ESC 에버가 굉장히 인상 깊은 출발을 했습니다.
ESC 에버 이번 게임은 정말 해야 될 플레이를 다 하면서
네.
CJ 초반부터 이렇게 압도적으로 이렇게 이득 챙기면서 좋은 모습 보여줬죠. 그리고 애쉬와 바드의 이 궁극기를 통한 이득을 봐야 한다라고 했는데 그 역할을 정말 잘 수행해내줬고 그리고 게임 끝날 때까지 그 주도권을 내주지 않았어요.
그렇습니다. 몇 번 분명히 CJ도 의미 있는 전투를 했습니다. 하지만 그 국소전에서 얻을 수 있는 이득은 생각하는 것만큼 크지 못했고 전반적인 전황에 있어서 ESC 에버가 자신의 이득을 잘 유지하는 경기를 마무리했습니다.
맞습니다. 또한 에버의 저런 적극적인 결단력, 저런 결단력이 있기 때문에 아무래도 승리를 하고 또 승강전에도 이렇게 이겨서 LCK에 온 거 아닙니까?
네.
그렇죠. 저런 결단력이 있어야 게임을 승리할 수 있습니다.
다 괜찮았습니다만 블레스의 활약이라든지 키의 움직임들은 분명히 첫 번째 경기 판들의 강력한 임팩트를 선사했을 거라는 생각이 듭니다. 자, 1대0으로 ESC 에버가 먼저 앞서고 있습니다. 저희는 잠시 후에 양팀이 펼치는 두 번째 경기로 다시 돌아오겠습니다.
정구가 지민아 비야 말 안 먹고 울지 마라. 올리브 치킨에 매운 천연 재료로 만든 마라핫 소스. 세상에 없던 매운맛 마라핫 치킨. 1588-9282 BBQ.
운전하다 쿵하면 어떡하지? 난 다이렉트인데?
다이렉트 가격에
다이렉트에도 품질이 있어요. 삼성화재 다이렉트 홈페이지에서 배영. 30년을 먹는데 어찌 이리 한결같이 맛있노?
레벨로가 다르잖아. 순차 고추장에 사과 과즙에 다 때리였다.
아이 뭐라.
역시 팔도가 손이 커.
팔도 비빔면 20% 원판 기념 앵콜 출시.
난 요새 수염 있는 남자가 멋있더라.
안녕.
기타 잘 치는 남자 멋있더라. 어깨 넓은 남자가 멋있더라. 근데 난 얼굴 작은 남자가 제일 좋더라.
난 오늘 나에게 바카스를 사줬습니다. 남자는 자신감을 지 나를 아끼자. 바카스.
매워. 2016년 걷잡을 수 없이 번져가는 매운맛.
우리들 이 맛에 완전히 중독되었어. 저거는 매운맛 국가제를
전쟁은 이미 시작되었다.
매운데 자꾸 먹고 싶어.
나도 그래. 하바네로와 청양고추를 썼다고? 맛있어 죽게 만든 셈이야!
하바네로와 청양고추가 더해진 매운맛의 몬스터 ESC 맵스터.
인류와 매운맛의 전쟁이지 말입니다.
보셔야 돼요. 단편적인 모습을 보면 안 되고 결과적으로 봐야 된다는 거예요. 콩코가 지금 얘기하고 있는 것. 자,
계속 들어갑니다. 던집점, 던집점. 자, 한 대도 맞으면 그렇게 끝납니다.
계속 받아두면 되는 거 없다. 와, 이거 노렸어요.
계속 갑니다.
한번 두 번.
연가드. 자, 캐논 스파이크 때리고
여기서
마무리. 또 인생의 풍고 분명히 할 텐데요.
잡기.
자, 시에 있습니다.
자, 잡기 지금은 한번 잡기 낚시를 노려봤는데.
자, 대시 이후에
와, 풍고 비밀의 겐지.
이게 바로 풍고의 동체 시력. 그러면 벌써 게이지를 썼어야 됐는데
그렇죠.
시간이 많이 지나고 있고요.
와.
다시 한번 캐논 스파이크 주퍼리 아직까지
이러면 풍고가 갑니다. 마지막 스킬이 될 것 같은데요.
풍고가 오늘
Watching the crystals turn to ice, Mercury slowly falling. Lost underneath the storm.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Coca-Cola Zero League of Legends Champions Korea Summer 2016. We are going to get underway with game number 2 of our best of 3 series here between Esports Club Ever. Yeah, ESC Ever and CJ ENTUS. CJ with, some bright points during game number 1, but really a dominant performance. Got a lot of good objective control, vision control. Ever just coming out on top.
Right, Ever basically completely, just from start to finish, except for a few hiccups, mostly coming out of Kian Loken, just completely dominated CJ in every aspect of the game.
And you can see those aspects of the game right there on your screen. Just the damage dealt to champions, always insane for the top lane, but most damage dealt to champions, no surprise there, it's Untara's Maokai. And then, of course, BDD putting up his fair share in the mid lane. He actually kind of got outskilled there by Tent, who was really on top of that mid lane roam game.
Right, and basically, I'm not too worried about BDD's damage dealt to champions, mostly because of the way that ESC Ever's team fighting occurs. There's not really any room for Victor to get out that AoE, so I don't think that's too indicative of a bad performance or anything. I thought BDD actually did fine in some of the salvaging fights that were coming out of CJ.
You can look at that support damage dealt. That's where the real action's at. That actually wasn't Totoro, but he or Bard rather, did a pretty good job that game. A couple of missed-tempered fates, but some ones that really helped secure objectives like Dragon. He actually stuck Haru in the wall one time, so pretty impressed by that Bard performance. And what are you really looking forward to here in game number 2, LS? What needs to change here for CJ ENTUS?
Well, CJ just looked like they got completely torn apart in every aspect of the game. From early to mid, so I'm wondering if they're going to pick a faster team composition now for controlling the early and mid game. And then on top of that, I wonder if they're going to allocate a ban to either Ashe or Bard, because that really did just throw some...
MVP for game number 1 is Bless in the jungle. Coming out, 2 new junglers for both teams. Bless going up against Haru, and Bless just smoked it all game long. He was on fire, getting objectives, ward vision control, and all kinds of good stuff. Do you agree with that MVP?
Absolutely. I think he secured a lot of key scuttle crabs. The only thing that he ever did wrong was the Baron smite. A little bit of Saint Vicious in him right there. But, not too big of a deal, because he was able to go red smite because he had such a stranglehold over Kindred for the entire portion of the game. So he was able to basically get away with every single cut corner.
Yeah, almost 80% kill participation. Some big fans there in the audience, and a lot of really excited people here. Fans on both sides, fans up in the balcony. You guys are in Seoul, South Korea, and you have a chance. Come down to the Nexon Arena and check out some of the best League of Legends action this side of just about everything. We are about to get ourselves into game number 2. ESC Ever up 1 game, and it's exciting to see both of these teams come into a brand new season with their own fair share of different strategies, but it definitely looks like Ever really content to play their game. But here we go, game number 2 should be starting up here in just a second. CJ ENTUS versus the 1 game ahead ESC Ever. Picks and bans here starting out, and no real surprises in picks and bans for game number 1, or at least in the ban phase. We did see that Zed ban come out, and it does look like that is what's going to be first off the board this time around. It's actually ESC Ever banning that Zed out against BDD again.
Right. You probably just want to get it out of the way. And CJ does respond with the Ashe ban. So that is something that we just talked about briefly, where I don't know if they were prepared again to try to face it or take it on, and it doesn't look like they are, so they throw away a ban at it.
All right. The Ashe was a little bit interesting. I know definitely not one of those top meta champions as far as things like Lucian right on top of the scoreboard. Ezreal looked fairly good there for Kramer, but a few missteps with those arcane shifts. So what's the real champion that either team really needs to avoid here, take out in the ban phase?
Well, I think it's relatively early on to know what sort of champions are really going to hinder each specific team. I think the Nidalee did cause a lot of problems for CJ, so as I was saying it gets banned and taken away. Because that Bless just went off on that Nidalee and completely just eviscerated CJ all across the board.
Definitely agree with that Nidalee ban. You get MVP, you're probably going to have your champion taken out of there. And with that Echo ban, some very reactive ban phase, or a very reactive ban phase this time around. Not just going for banning out the power picks, making sure to limit each team's specific picks that did well in game number 1.
Right, the Echo ban, given that they are blue side, so that would enable them first pick, I think is a little bit peculiar, considering Echo is basically a god. And now the Azir ban being rounded out by CJ. And now Ryze comes in, and so this is the other god.
Oh, man. So we saw the Zed ban, we saw the Azir ban taken out. No, not going to see those two power picks, but as soon as they're out of the way, no Ryze ban coming through first pick for ESC Ever.
And now I'm not quite sure if this Ryze is able to be flexed. Tempt only had 1 game on it.
Right, and Crazy also, at least I don't believe, had too many Ryze games last split. Of course, a big difference between last split and this split. So.
Right. He only had 3 Ryze games last split, so that's not too many. Although Ryze is definitely, you don't need too many games competitively to make him work. So
he's a somewhat strong champion. He has the ability to click on you, root you. It's that classic see hero, kill hero mentality. And ESC Ever did a great job with those coordinated picks with like Ash Arrow and then Tempered Fate immediately afterwards. So definitely looking forward to seeing Ryze involved in that this time around. But immediately, similar to game number 1, we saw 2 instant lock-ins there. It's going to be Lucian for Kramer, his highest DPS champion, and definitely a champion you really associate with him and his playstyle.
Right, and I'm just expecting ESC to round it out with Kate or Ezreal, and we see Caitlyn being highlighted right now. Bless highlighting the Gragas. He's not necessarily one of the best junglers, but he does fit in sometimes, and now swapping over to Elise.
Okay, now Elise is a champion that isn't necessarily up in those like top 3 power picks for junglers right now, but why do you pick Elise on a team comp if that is what Bless is going to lock in?
Elise offers basically a lot of utility in multiple ways. She can act as disengaged, she can act as engaged. She offers a lot of control in the early game. There's a lot of
Varus for Tempt. That's going to be pretty big. We talked about how Tempt played a lot of poke mages, things like when Corki was very strong last season, but Corki doesn't really exist anymore, but Varus apparently does, and it's going to be interesting to see that locked in as an AD poke mage in the mid lane versus, I think BDD was hovering over maybe Xerath there, but now maybe looking at a Fizz.
Well, I think the important thing about Varus is if they don't choose an AD mid laner, which honestly, who exists right now for an AD mid laner outside of Varus? Not really anyone, because you can't really pick Yasuo in this current meta. So I think that the Varus, there's no chance to see it end up on Deloken, and we see it come out primarily because you don't want to have such a heavy AP jungler, heavy AP top laner, and then another AP mid laner, so it's the only thing that really makes sense.
A lot of damage diversity there for ESC Ever is CJ. Thinking about the Syndra now, Syndra was a part of the mid-season mage update of Veigar. No way, BDD, he's really looking for some of those updated mages. And it looks like it's getting locked in, a Veigar pick in the mid lane for BDD.
And the Veigar is really interesting right here because that's going to be able to basically lock Ryze and Elise up during the team fights. But now it looks like Bard and Caitlyn might be the response from ESC. But nonetheless, I think that Vigar is really undervalued right now, and I know that personally a lot of people think that he is sleeper OP. So it's going to be interesting to see how this mid lane ends up going. I'm not too familiar with the Varus versus Vigar matchup, so that'll be a treat to see.
Certainly something that hasn't really happened a lot on the current patch. BDD going to be looking to put the Rise in his event horizon, lock down either one of those big carry picks. So very interesting pick nonetheless. We can talk about that as the game goes on, but looking to lock in the duo lane here for ESC Ever. Loken on that Caitlyn Janna pick. We saw this extensively from CLG's duo lane, Stixay and Afromu and MSI. Okay, you had me going there for a little bit, but going right back to the Bard.
So now, how is CJ going to round this out? They're looking for a support champion, and I'm not quite sure who Mad Life... I mean, there's a lot of options that Mad Life could pick right now.
Kind of interesting. Usually you see teams on red side use the last pick for a counter pick. Is there some reason that CJ didn't go for that this time?
Well, I think with the mid lane and the top lane and the jungle already being selected so early on, and then ESC Ever just choosing to finalize their picks with the bot lane, there was no real incentive to hide anything else.
Vagar, possibly. Okay, no. The Thresh God, Mad Life. He's hovering over it, but he still has a few seconds left to switch that. Support Vigar used to be a very big thing, but we really haven't seen support Vigar in quite a while.
Right.
So,
and I think the changes to Vigar's passive, I believe it's called Equilibrium,
right.
That's removed, and now he just gets a lot of AP, so it doesn't make too much sense to put him into the support role.
I was hoping I had my super random full AP support passion going on, but it is a Thresh locked in from Mad Life.
And the Thresh rounding out the team comp isn't so bad. This is going to basically require, well, they have a lot of CC coming out of them from CJ.
So it's going to be like CCJ Entus?
CCJ Entus, yeah, absolutely. And Ever's going to want an ESC from that, if you know what I mean. But so
we don't have keyboards, or I would hit the escape button, which triggers the eject seat, and I would piece out of here because I don't want to hear any more. We are going to get into game number 2 here between ESC Ever and CJ Entus. Starting up here in just a second. Looks like we might have had a couple of difficulties as we loaded in, but man, I am just so ready to get this underway. This season of LCK has been a long time in the making, so I know the players, the audience, everyone getting hyped up for this game number 2. Ever coming out with a game 1 win. CJ looking to equalize it, and so very excited to get this game underway. CJ, like we said, a very interesting Vigar pick there, and may have expected the the Varus pick just because it has been a champion that Tempt has played historically, but definitely did not expect to see it this season, and certainly not in a game that would seal their first series victory.
Right, and I think the important thing to note right now is ESC's team comp is vastly different from the previous team comp, and they have a lot of scaling. They have a tier mid laner, they have a tier top laner, they have Elise, which is going to be blue side Elise, and it's against a red side Rek'Sai. So CJ Entus' comp is basically cookie cutter scaling. Nothing really too fancy coming out of it, except they are going to want to sit back and just relax. And we're going to talk about the win conditions in a second.
4 or 5 seconds as we load into here. You can see some cute, cheerful, some even more amazing players as we get in here to game number 2. Much better cheer there from the Ever side. So definitely, having their passion revived here with a very, very strong, convincing win in game 1. And here we are with CJ Entus now on the red side, ESC Ever in the blue.
So I think relative to the team comps, the most important thing to talk about right now is that CJ has an entirely scaling team composition, where what they're going to be looking to do is literally just the cliche cookie cutter method of playing, League of Legends, where they're going to just look for basic objective control, basic Baron control, basic pushes, nothing fancy, no special win conditions, no special split push conditions or reliance on Baron, reliance on Drakes. But ESC...
Oh, man. Key's got something up his sleeve. Is this going to be a level 1 magical journey? You lose so much from not having that cosmic binding if you do go for the magical journey. I think they're waiting. They have good war timings, and there it is. The 3-man magical journey. This is going to catch Mad Life and Kramer completely off guard. Kramer, he's walking right in there. He doesn't know. He's going to face check this motion. Kramer is going to fail his flash over the wall. Kramer is absolutely going to die here. The Grom's not going to get taken. It's smote away there, and Mad Life does survive, but ESC Ever pulling out the sick bar cheese into the bottom jungle. Comes out with a first blood over CJ.
So this is the complete opposite of what CJ wanted. Ever just basically managed to take a very slow engine composition, and they found a way to accelerate the early game, and now this is going to be really brutal for CJ in the early stages, because you do not want to be behind against a Caitlyn Bard.
Do you want to give a quick shout out? If you guys thought that play was super sick, I remember when that exact play made Reddit because a team called KIYF from the Spanish LOL Honor League actually pulled a very similar strat. I think it was actually pretty much exactly that, where they used the bar to get into a super secret position and then surprise the enemy duo lane. So shout outs to the Spanish scene for making that play possible, and nice to see a incredibly well executed play like that there by Key. Oh my gosh, I'm already like such a big fan of ESC Ever, just because they come in here as kind of the underdogs and new challenger team, but a lot of LCK coaches really rating them very, very highly, saying that most teams in LCK right now are actually around the same level, and you can see ESC Ever really exemplifying that. CJ, though, they've changed a lot of their characteristics that didn't work in last season. They've gotten a brand new jungler in Haru, but he's really getting pressure.
So one thing is, well, what was impressive is you saw the pings coming down in the defensive side jungle. So that was Bless basically letting Rise know exactly where Rek'Sai can likely be at this point in time, and that ping also does help out Tempt in mid lane. Now the thing in bot lane that we saw happening, which I wanted to mention, was we saw Caitlyn glaciering the wave, which is a stockpile of 3 or 4 waves on top of each other, and that really is just going to help her and Bard bully, or continue to bully, the enemy bot lane.
Never heard it called glaciering the wave. I guess glaciers freeze too.
It's 3 or 4 waves.
So it's like one wave is like a freeze.
One and 2 is a freeze. Yep.
And then 3 and 4 is the glacier.
Absolutely.
So with global warming, I'm just kidding. Maybe if we have Brand in the game, we can talk about that. But Key and Loken starting the game off with a cool strat, looking to keep it that way. But already a 10 CS advantage off of that level 1 kill on a Kramer. Is that just basically game over for the duo lane?
Well, it's not game over, but it is a really dark spot to be in right now because, again, we talked about how CJ was, they wanted to just keep scaling. And you can see Caitlyn keeps doing this thing where she stockpiles the minion wave and then shoves it into Lucian and Thresh, and that just makes it really difficult to farm and really difficult to CS because the harass coming out of Bard and Caitlyn is just really difficult. And with Rek'Sai already being behind, and now they're able to know when Rek'Sai is going to be on the right-hand side of the map, there's no pressure relief coming to bot lane.
Wow, yeah, no relief. Just going to have to keep it there at the turret. And this is, I guess, kind of what Caitlyn does. Would you say that's fairly standard to see Caitlyn sort of bully the lane early on? Right,
absolutely. I mean, that's the whole principle of Caitlyn. She needs to be able to abuse that range early on, and the fact that she was able to get the lead early on and maintain her summoner spells, whereas Lucian ended up losing his flash, was just absolutely gigantic. And now we see Bless matching Rek'Sai, and this is all that you really need to do. When you get a massive lead on the enemy jungler, rather than just continue to try to outplay them, in some instances you can just basically monkey onto his route and just match every single step of the way.
Inferno Drake for the first dragon this game as well. In game 1, we actually had a 4-minute dragon. Inferno Drake taken there by ESC Ever, so not quite as much of an emphasis on dragons this game, but still might be something they want to put some pressure on. You can see actually Key trying to move up maybe a little bit to get some ward coverage there. They do have vision of that Drake, and so not going to get taken quite as early this time around. You said just a scaling game here from CJ ENTUS, so they definitely just want to slow things down and play it calm and cool.
They're looking for like a 35 or a 40-minute victory. Basically, their victory is going to be centered around Elder Dragon, or it's going to be centered around like Baron. I know that I said in the very beginning there's no like special win conditions, but I wouldn't really classify them as special. Just more so that's when the team comp is going to basically hit its largest spike.
All right, well, it looks like Bless could be face checking right into Haru. Rek'Sai getting a lot of damage done. Mutara will start to rotate down. Crazy is right there, but Bless might actually die. He gets a nice repel up here. Crazy's going to come in with a lot of damage and just enough pressure to allow Bless to escape.
Yeah, and these type of trades and skirmishes, they're just going to benefit ESC more than they're going to benefit CJ. And that's just basically because ESC has the lead right now. So anything happening like this is not very good for CJ. And now we see Rek'Sai just sort of waiting at the outskirts.
He's doing that hotshot GG jungle style where you find a bush, you get to be really good friends with the bush, chill out there, and here comes Haru now right on top of Crazy. Gonna be forced to flash away and has his ult chained off there. He's gonna try to turn that back around. He's 2v1ing right now, and Crazy, too much pressure.
Rai is basically just showing why he's the second god of top lane right now.
I mean, I'm not sure if it's Rise or Crazy or maybe a little bit of both, but you can tell there's that moment where Crazy's like, wait a second, I can actually just kill everyone. Especially with the bounces there from his, Arcane. I can't remember the bouncing spell, but it is actually a lot of magic resistance reduction. If you do get that to bounce blue champions, you do get a lot of bonus off of that.
Now, it is important that Maokai, it does have a substantial CS lead, especially given the matchup. A little bit of that is attributed to Rek'Sai, but not so bad. The thing that is important, though, is if Maokai uses his teleport to get back to lane here rather than elect to walk back, then it does open up a dragon timing for ESC.
Dragon timing available, and possibly something that could see Bless rotate down for. He's at the red buff, so it'd just be a hop, skip, and jump over that wall, but Event Horizon coming down, and Temp doing such a good job of just playing back, not doing anything risky. He's got a good CS lead in that matchup, and I mean, BDD, I understand that he's supposed to scale, but actually, I talked about maybe some of the mid-season mage changes to Veigar and what helps him get so much ability power now.
Well, now Veigar, when he simply just hits a champion, he gets AP. So the more that he lands spells, the more he gets rewarded, and he just basically, his laning phase and his sustain was a little bit cut and compromised, but that's not really an issue that a pro player can't work around. And instead, he was offered a much larger late game, basically being given a free 300 to 500 AP, depending on how long the game goes and how successful he is with hitting champions.
So basically, Veigar still kills stuff. Ult change was a little bit of a big one, so it's now more of a big execute than it is just a, oh, you built ability power, and now you're dead. So a little bit of a change there, but nice to see kind of the more things change, the more they stay the same. Looking forward to some big plays from Veigar. What would you say his first item is looking towards? Probably still that Morellonomicon?
It definitely probably will just still be the Morellonomicon to get that CDR out, and also because of the change to Morellonomicon and the mid-season mage update.
Looking towards Haru up here in the top lane. Crazy. Reading that, backing away. I feel like that's one of the most significant but underappreciated skills of top laners, and maybe you can echo this, but is to know or have that game sense to say, hey, wait a second, there's a good chance they're ganking me. In that situation, Crazy did have a ward up, but just have that sort of sixth sense and say, wait a second, I need to get out of here. And in Crazy's case, he's actually kind of going to come back into here using that teleport for top lane. What do you think about that, LS? Should he have saved that maybe for Dragon?
He could have saved it for Dragon, but the problem is with how the game is basically transgressing, we're not really seeing a Dragon window for either team right now.
I'm not sure what was so exciting about that. It's like,
yeah.
Oh my god, Crazy just pushed Untara out of lane. I get super excited about that when I'm playing top lane, but that's just because it's a very rare occurrence.
What's interesting right now is basically that there's this attention being consistently devoted to top lane.
Oh, Bless gonna cocoon Haru. There's gonna be Tempt in there. It's gonna lock everything down, change the corruption. Haru trying to get out of there. The repel comes in there. Bless still looking for it, but he's gonna be locked up there by the Event Horizon. Forced to flash over the wall. Bless a little bit over eager there on the chase, but some great contributions there from both mid laners.
Right, and I think that the flat, well, it was really impressive actually that he managed to actually catch him with the repel. That was actually really fast reaction times, but I think continuing to chase was a little bit bad given that you know that Veigar could just be there with Event Horizon. So I think that just taking the flash victory would have been more than enough, and then you could have looked to collapse on the top lane, considering that you know that he just recently teleported, so shoving him out of lane would have granted you so much utility on the bottom side of the map in the coming minutes.
Now, game number 1 was pretty slow to start. We had a lot of objective control and not too many fights until we hit like the 20-minute mark. But this time around, for CJ ENTUS, they might be even waiting later than that because they've got scaling in the mid lane. You've got scaling from your AD carry as well, and starting to talk about maybe some builds that we could be looking towards. Fairly standard Caitlyn builds. Kramer going for, I guess, the more aggressive Youmuu's Ghost Blade early. Is there anything that surprises you here, LS?
No, all of the builds I think are relatively standard. Maokai is kind of happy right now that he can just continue to, keep building his MR and stuff in top lane, which is really...
Oh, Cocoon follows Haru even through the tunnel. And his Void burrowing is going to get him out of there safe and sound for now, but really not a whole lot. This is where you pack up your snacks, you pull out your pillow, you snuggle in your sleeping bag. Just kidding. Okay. Actually, no, not just kidding. Keep snuggling in there. We're going to be in for a long winter's nap here as both teams just really kind of chilling out there. This is...
So something I want to talk about, and pro teams and pro players don't do this enough, is just simply feigning movement. Because the pro play, movements are natural for a lot of players. So when they see something abnormal, that can actually trigger their nerves. And we just saw that Key knew that he had the pink ward in the brush, so if he just simply throws down an ultimate, Mad Life has no way of knowing if it's genuine or not. So regardless of if Elise was there or not, Mad Life still flashes. And I think that mechanics and tactics like that psychologically aren't used enough.
Really great to see some mind games coming out. From Key, I would expect Mad Life, he's one of the few players in League of Legends who actually has a play named after him, the Mad Life, where you predict your opponent's movement spell or flash. And we haven't seen that yet so far. Still looking to see that Thresh kick into high gear, but I think we're still looking to see just about anything kick into high gear as the game continues to just scale up. This is where we take time to tell super funny jokes that will inevitably inspire incredible amounts of groans. I'm just going to skip all of that so that hopefully I can leave the puns to people who do them much better. So
now Rise about to complete that Roa, and with the mid-season Mage update, the new Roa completion really helps Rise wake up a lot sooner.
Yeah, new Roa is actually crazy. Like, you get mana back every time you deal damage, and then every time you
every time you cast a spell, you get health, and every time you take damage, you get mana.
Okay, all right, there we go. I was gonna get there eventually. It's like you get tons of stuff back. Kind of similar there for the Morellonomicon and mana, and then if you ever see Tear of the Goddess being picked up, we talked about how that's gonna be coming in here for crazy. That's gonna give you a lot, basically just permanent mana sustain.
So anyways, the game is relatively standard right now, nothing out of the ordinary, although there is a lot of dropped momentum that ESC could have made use of because of choices that CJ made and because of Bless outplaying Haru at some points in the game. So what's going to happen right now is CJ is going to get a temporary boost over ESC where they still need time to... Varus needs to complete his tier and Rise needs to complete his tier. But when that finally happens, ESC is going to take over for about 10 minutes until Vigar can continue to ramp up and Lucian can continue to ramp up.
Lots of ramp going on. It's like this game is very wheelchair accessible. We've got ramps going everywhere right into it. In case you guys need some extra help, this game is definitely in a very low gradient. We actually have a lot of action coming up here to the top lane. Bless is on the flank as crazy. Look at the lockdown in Tar. We're going to see the miss on the Cocoon. Oh my gosh, a little bit out of center, off center, and Bless just has to abort mission. He's out of there. He's like, just kidding. Missed the Cocoon. And a little bit of an anticlimactic gank in there. As if this game needed any more help, just having a little bit of a slower start. Bless with a miss there on the Cocoon. Actually, maybe a good thing, because Haru was right there for the counter gank.
Right. I honestly, people might criticize Bless for missing the Cocoon right there. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, obviously missing the skill shot is bad, but realistically, nothing more was going to come from that. ESC doesn't know that, but, it doesn't really change anything in the end because the outcome would have ultimately been the same in about 5 seconds later.
Oh my gosh. Pretty excited to see such an even game. Both teams really countering each other out strategically. doesn't leave a whole lot of excitement for big team fights, but we might have one of those setting up here around this first Inferno Dragon. Big change here from game number 1 and 2. Oh, Kramer actually does get caught. There's the Lantern. He will actually pull that out, get out alive. But now it's Ever's turn to maybe turn here onto Dragon. A nice catch there. Good repel there. Bless will be forced to flash away. There's the big box. But a good binding on the Mad Life. He's going to be taken out very, very low. Loken flashing in to get that kill. It's going to be too early for ESC Ever, and the smite there is good. That Inferno Drake going over to Ever.
And this was just really bizarre because we saw that Maokai had no way to teleport down given his mana cost. Vigar was completely out of position. He really salvaging that with his bind.
Nice cleanse there on a BDD. Both mid laners dropping their CC at the same time, but with that cleanse, pushing BDD back, no way to contest this mid lane push onto the first turret of the game. Going to ESC Ever.
Right now they could have forced Lucian out of bot lane, so it's a little interesting not to see them make that choice. There's basically nothing they can do in top lane, so after pushing down the mid-tier 1 turret, they could have used that opportunity to basically completely shut down Haru's right side jungle, force Lucian out of the lane, and then secured bottom tier 1 turret, because there is no counterplay ability coming out of mid lane or bot lane, so it would just have been like a transition period for CJ, and they
look at this cosmic mining, just like absolutely sick. Find Mad Life and Haru, and it's kind of game over there for Mad Life. Loken goes with the Imp-esque flash in just to make sure he secures the kill, and that's going to do it. But now some more action. Here's Key. Looks like he might get caught out. Just kidding. He doesn't have penguins anymore. I'm really upset about that. I feel like if you have the opportunity to put penguins in your skin, it just heralds the coming of our great Lord and Savior Pingu, here to usher in 1,000 years of darkness, but that'll come in some future patch updates. We're just seeing a strong push down here in the bottom lane for CJ ENTUS.
This push into bottom doesn't do too much considering there's no neutral objective down in bot lane. This is something that they could have avoided had they not made the macro error just a few moments ago after securing the dragon. But this isn't going to be too big of a problem. Varus is going to be completing his tier relatively soon, and so is Ryze, so there's going to be a very big power spike coming in the next 5 minutes that CJ I don't think is prepared to handle.
Yeah, already completed the tier, just stacking it up. They've got to cry a little bit more. Sadness fueling their rage, and actually something to point out in case you guys are new to LCK or didn't watch the Kespa Cup. This is a rematch of the Kespa Cup Grand Finals where ESC Ever, a lot of hype behind them after having just 2-0'd SK Telecom T1 in the semifinals, coming into the Grand Finals versus CJ ENTUS is sort of the next big roadblock in their way. CJ actually had a lot of very strong performances. I think they had to take out Jin Air Green Wings and KT Rollsters, so really, really impressive performance from CJ. And they came up against Ever in the finals, and I don't think anyone really expected Ever to win. There was a lot of hype, but when they 3-0'd CJ ENTUS, that really set the tone for what was a good few months for ESC Ever in international competitions. They definitely put up some big performances, and now CJ back for revenge.
Say here that the decision by ESC to go top lane, when it's considered such a weak lane for their composition and also how useless it is for CJ, is just bizarre. So really not very happy with their decision to trade tier 1 top for tier 2 bottom. This is actually just really poor and basically inexcusable from Ever.
You can see the difference between new Veigar and old Veigar there in the mid lane. He probably would have died with old Veigar, depending on the stacks and the farm and things like that. But lucky to be alive there, did survive, and now look at the CJ ENTUS push. Just nothing to stop them from pressuring this base turret 19 minutes into the game.
Yeah, these rotation decisions coming out of Ever are a little bit peculiar. I think they really underestimated how fast Lucian can shred towers and raise them. Vigar was a little bit out of position. I don't think the tier 2 tower needed to go down as fast as it did, but nonetheless, CJ is going to come out massively from that, given that top lane is virtually useless for both teams.
I think there might actually be a teleport timer bug there with Crazy. I'm not sure exactly what the timer is on his TP. Maybe it was stopped by Untara. Untara did stop his recall there with an arcane smash, but definitely good to stop Crazy from coming back to defend, and that's the first base turret down here 20 minutes. So CJ, a little bit of a underestimation, let's call it that, from ESC Ever, giving up their base turret a little bit early. 10th taking a blue buff, and now what's next for ESC Ever with that very, very weak bottom side of the map?
Well, what's going to happen is the next dragon is going to be extremely vital, because if ESC does somehow manage to lose it, there's also more on the line given that an inhibitor is exposed.
Ever going top lane. Mad Life a little bit caught out. There's the box, but the burst is too good. Tempt coming out with the third kill of the game for Ever. Crazy just not even needed there. It's all, the box is good, but it's not big enough to hold the entire rest of the team. Ever now looking to put their pressure on the second tier top lane turret. CJ did it through strategy, but Ever just walked up, picked up a kill. Now they're going to be pressuring this base turret of their own.
So it looks like what ESC wanted to do, regardless of if they ended up securing a pick on anyone, which they ended up getting crushed, was it looks like they wanted to force CJ to devote a lot of vision control and a lot of attention to top lane with the upcoming dragon. That way they would have ultimately superior vision control, and that would be the most important objective that we talked about coming up.
All right, yeah, got to control these big objectives. You actually mentioned earlier, LS, where the scaling comp from CJ needed, some time. So you're looking for maybe like a 40-minute victory. We're not there just yet, but Ever certainly hasn't shown any signs of stopping just yet. I mean, they've got a very strong AD carry there in Loken, and how's that really going to play into what you said was going to be another objective-focused game, maybe from CJ ENTUS?
Well, the problem is that Ever is about to wake up huge. As soon as Rise completes that into Seraph's Embrace, and as soon as that Monomune is complete for Varus, that's just going to be a world of hurt that CJ really isn't prepared to handle. They did a good job at salvaging the game with the tower trades that they ended up taking a few moments ago, but I still don't think it's really going to be enough. And right now, it seems that they're out of position for this dragon, and teleport is up for both top laners, so that's important to pay attention to.
Muntara, he's waiting there in base for that home guard TP. He's got the teleport up, so does Crazy. Both side laners looking to come in here for this dragon fight. Muntara kind of just AFK in the fountain. He wants his teleport to go down. Ever is pushing in, but are they going to overextend and allow a good flank here from Muntara? There is a ward in that dragon pit that's good for him to teleport onto. It's actually been stopped there for just moments. Muntara actually will start to channel his teleport, but not before Ever can actually go ahead and pick up the dragon, and they are out of there. They are leaving the scene. Ever with a quick dragon and a nice escape.
Yeah, I really don't know what CJ is doing. In both of these series, they've been really slow to getting to all the major objectives. Obviously, they had that Baron sneak, but we talked about last game how that was actually a poor call, but they ended up being rewarded for it. But I'm not really impressed with how they're doing everything, and even the one macro rotation that they made with the tower trades this game actually was more so a byproduct of Ever not responding properly rather than the choices that they made proactively.
Ever continuing to do exactly what you were just talking about. Proactive, lane rotations immediately after Dragon. They're going to turrets. They're taking that down. And while, yes, they did lose their bottom lane inhibitor turret, the inhibitor is still up and putting pressure on the bottom lane, just making sure to keep that bot as safe as possible. 2-0 up in Dragons. That's what the Elemental Dragon stats are showing you right there. ESC Ever still on top of their objective control.
And now Rise completing that Seraph's Embrace soon. That's going to probably spell lights out for the Baron fight if he ends up getting that. Vigar has not had enough time to ramp up yet. He still doesn't have his death cap. Lucian, he does have the Black Cleaver, Yumu's combo, but Caitlyn is just too far ahead. Already has the QSS. And Maokai, he's not really going to do anything inside of the team fight because they don't have the proper vision in order to get the positioning that they need in order to properly contest the Baron in the coming moments.
Now, what do you think about that Lucian build? I know it's sort of like a new meta as far as builds come in. I know some AD carries think it's absolutely terrible, but we do see a little bit more of it more frequently.
Well, it definitely was popularized on the Korean server, and because of the change to the Black Cleaver, making it so accessible, Lucian's kit just fits so beautifully with it, where he can really just get those stacks up on you really quickly, and then he is so mobile and benefits so much from the CDR because of the utility inside of his Q and his E. It's just monstrous.
A catch here on to Keys, gonna turn himself invisible, but will that be enough? Pop goes the support. Famous last words of lots of supports out there. I was just warding, and unfortunately won't even get the ward down. He goes down, and now here's the ace and hole blocked out by Mad Life. CJ starting off this Baron. Some good poking here from Tempt. He's got that Yomu's power going. Baron dropping down below half HP here in just a second. Muntara in there to try to stop Bless from getting in there. Very, very low health bars, and Ever could find so many kills. They're going to find one onto Antara. Very low health bars. BDD flashing over the wall. Madline going to be able to make it out of there. Do they want to recommit here for the Baron fight? Haru going to get back into there, but the Baron's taken by Temp. More kills coming in for ESC Ever, as they will find a kill onto Haru. Antara and Kraber down as well. BDD just trying to get out of there as fast as his little legs can carry him. And it looks like CJ, the flash Q misses. Temp letting that go just a little bit early, and BDD makes it out alive. A big Baron fight there forever.
Well, I don't really know what to say. I mean, the story of these games is CJ continues to just make absolutely atrocious macro decision calls, and it is the most peculiar thing in the world, even though Key is literally trying to be their key to victory.
He winds up getting caught so often, and sometimes that's a bad thing, but this time around, he definitely the mastermind. He kind of unlocked that Baron phase, like, hey guys, if you want to kill me, you guys can start Baron. And he's like, whispering to the rest of the team, hey guys, you're going to start Baron. And then they, catch them. Great poke there from Tempt initially. I really want to see this replay. It should be coming up here in just a second of that big Baron fight. Here we go. Gonna get that and walk us through this. Key gets caught. Usually that's a bad thing when your support gets picked off.
Right. So Key ends up getting caught, and rather than just securing proper vision control and trying to go for another pick using Vygar or something, because we can see all the summoner spells are up, where Ryze is completely out of position. They didn't elect to go for that. I feel like Caitlyn could have easily misstepped. Varus or like Elise, anyone could have misstepped, pick them up, and then get the Baron. But instead, they go for this very bizarre try to blitz on the Baron, but they just don't have items for this, and it's never going to work. And even then, you're going to come down to a smite fight again.
Yeah, and Baron actually, when you stand behind it, does this attack where it damages everything back there. And so you're going to take a lot more damage if you're just standing in that. When you are way behind that, CJ ENTUS got completely destroyed. Now losing turrets down on the bottom half of the map. Ace in the hole, blocked out again. Intara that time, though, the one to take the bullet, but Baron buffed up minions, pushing in here to the bottom lane. Ever looking to siege their second inhibitor. Mid one is already down, and Loken using that Caitlyn poke. The range is so aggressive. This looks like inhibitor number 2 going to go to ESC Ever.
Yeah, and now they're just going to back off, although I feel like if this was CJ, they'd probably try to go for the game right here. If this series is anything to tell. But Dragon coming up, it is the Earth Dragon. That's not really going to benefit ESC too much, given that they've already basically raised all the towers. The problem is, though, is Ever has their wake up now. And so I don't think there's any chance for CJ to come back. I think this game is over.
Well, you did talk about CJ and how they were running kind of a scaling idea to their team composition. Vagar does still have his death cap that he's just purchased, so a little bit of a power spike, but not a whole lot of AP, no void staff to really make that super effective, and really BDD a lot of responsibilities. Currently, he is 0, 0, and 0. Not a whole lot of contribution this game.
They would need a small loan of about $1 million if they want to come back into this game.
You saying CJ is going to run for president?
Maybe. Potentially.
Well, this is Korea do things a little bit differently over here. And I think, now looking for possibly Untara on the flank. Not going to go for it. And that means the push continues here for ESC Ever. A miss there on that event horizon. Maybe not a miss, but just trapping up the minions means that there's very little pressure. That base turret going down. This will be the 3rd inhibitor. CJ really just have to find a fight and find a pick here right now. He will go ahead and get saved there. Gales himself away. I think the Gales are QSS. I couldn't actually tell, but he's going to stay alive. And that is all 3 inhibitors down. Ever taking every single one.
And you know what? I really, really respect this patience. This is the most proper thing in League to do. And if you're a pro team or you're a pro player and you're watching or something, this is what you need to be doing. You don't just try to blitz down the Nexus because you're so far ahead and you just want to get it over. You just keep doing a slow, methodical rotation and you just suffocate them, because eventually now, with 3 inhibitors down, the game is 7v5.
Pick there onto Haru Cocoon lands, but not enough damage or follow-up. Bless just making sure you can get out of there safe and sound. And while we were talking about maybe some more items needed there by CJ, just look at these completions here for ESC Ever. They've got 3, 4 items on their carries. I guess 3.5 if you want to be exact. Man, just does not show any signs of stopping. Crazy running the train up mid lane along with a couple of super minion pals.
Yeah, and I feel like this is going to be the final push incoming. All summoner spells, except for Varus and Caitlyn's Flash, are up for both teams. The teleport not being up for Maokai is basically irrelevant because all he's going to be doing is Lord of the Rings, the two towers right now.
Well, they are still up, and that's going to be the bastion here for CJ ENTUS. Defend, do or die, and it looks like, well, they're going to have to do one of those. The ESC continue to push in. We've got 3 waves of double super minions pushing into every single lane, and Ever going to take down their first Nexus turret. CJ have to go for it. Muntara's going to be the one to start this off. Immediately get the flash out there from Crazy. Muntara still very, very low there. He's going to survive it, but Madlife going to go down. Kramer gets popped, and Logan very, very low, but he's actually still alive in the back. ESC Ever taking no losses. They will take down the Nexus for a 2-0 victory over CJ ENTUS. Absolutely incredible, and what a way to start things off here at the Nexon Arena. SPOTV's production here, just lights, crazy excitement, and great games. A win here for ESC Ever to start off their LCK season with a 2-0.
Yeah, I was really impressed with ESC Ever. Just control their discipline, their patience, all across the board. CJ, I didn't feel like I was watching a Korean team. That's all I have to say about that.
Hey man, we just saw MSI. There's good teams everywhere, but nice to see maybe a little bit of a throwback to the KIYF Wall Honor. With that level 1 Bard strat, we have CP throw down some shenanigans level 1, and I think I was pretty excited about that, and just overall, just so much hype behind Ever coming in. They're a brand new team this season, really unproven in LCK, and it's nice to see them come out with a 2-0 victory.
Yeah, I mean, again, I was just really impressed with everything that they did. Their discipline. They showed us 2 different types of team compositions. They found a way to make a slow engine comp somehow move faster than the opponent. It was just good all across the board.
I mean, that slow and steady wins the race, and while they were definitely not turtles, they did have a very patient play style, way to close that game out there, and I just cannot wait. We will have an MVP interview immediately following this game, so certainly looking forward to some extra insight there, and I think we will have that translated for us as well, but just congratulations to Ever, coming off very strong in their first showing here in LCK, and you can see just some looks of dejection. Madlife actually always, renowned for being relatively emotionless, but you can even see maybe some frustration there, just unable to make those big plays that he's been classically known for.
Right, and I don't feel like this was an individual player to really be blamed. I feel like CJ as a whole just had some really huge blunders all across the board.
Yeah, what was that Vigar pick? Did not really show up there a whole lot.
It didn't really show up at all, but I don't... This game wasn't lost by picks by any means.
Well, it was lost by getting picked off several times.
Yeah.
The first pick from the level 1 Magical Journey, and then you had several others. Even Key getting picked off there by the Baron. And then CJ start the Baron and then get poked off and lose Baron, which is sort of heralded the beginning of the end.
It was just very hard also for CJ to really get in onto anyone basically forever because of the Varus and the Ryze lockups. So the ability to basically launch an offensive assault via a siege through the long range of Varus, but then also use the utility of the Cocoons, Varus' ultimate, Ryze's lockups to also switch into defensive gear. That's just too much for their team comps.
It's a good gear to go into, but the offensive gear equally as impressive, and it looks like we should be closing things out here and getting ready for our first interview. I want to know, who do you think was the MVP that game, LS?
I would definitely say that it was probably Varus.
Okay.
In the end, just because of how much he offered his team, how much damage he probably ended up dealing throughout the course of everything. Elise, I mean, Bless did a lot, but nothing fancy comparative to Game 1. Ryze didn't really do too much. The start, I mean, I didn't really feel too impressed with Loken given the advantage that he had early on.
Looks like the MVP is going to be Key this time around. Crazy support shenanigans in game number 2, and you can see that 2/3 kill participation in there, definitely helping out. And 0, 1, and 6, great kill participation, and definitely assisted Loken, showing what he could do.
Fantastic kill participation, but I don't think he really did anything out of the ordinary that would warrant.
Okay, that level 1 in game 2 was pretty out of the ordinary.
That was pretty impressive. But outside of that, I mean, the early invade, which that was a pretty invade.
it was definitely pretty. So shout out to KIYF for that, and for Ever for pulling it out and pulling it off so effectively. That's going to be our Sonokong IB MVP for game number 2. And that's going to do it for our series here tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed this brand new production, a brand new season of LCK underway. It's been a great night to kind of showcase that for everyone else out there. That is going to most likely be us closing things down here. Looks like we are going to be setting up an interview with Bless. We should be going over to here in just a moment.
개막전 경기 결과 ESC 에버가 CJ 엔투스를 상대로 2대0 승리를 거뒀습니다. ESC 에버의 선수 만나보겠습니다. 네, 오늘 승리 축하드립니다. 블레스 선수. 자, 넥슨 아레나에서의 좋은 기억이 계속해서 이어지는 것 같아요.
네.
CJ와의 경기 승리 예상하셨나요?
승리 예상은 못했고요. 저희가 그냥 개막전인 만큼 좀 잘해서 연습 많이 해서 이기고 싶었어요.
넥슨 아레나에서의 기억이 ESC 에버는 좋을 수밖에 없기 때문에 경기장에서의 적응은 어렵지 않으셨을 것 같아요.
제가 넥슨 아레나 ESC 에버는 넥슨 아레나에서 경기를 좀 많이 했는데 저는 2번째거든요, 이번이. 그래서 전 좀 떨렸던 것 같아요.
긴장됐나요? 네. 오늘 1세트에서 굉장히 용을 과감하고 빠르게 시도하는 모습이 인상 깊었어요.
네.
아무래도 대규모 패치 이후에 용 스택이 더 중요해졌는데
네.
그렇기 때문에 선택한 준비된 전략이었나요?
용은 먹을 수 있으면 무조건 먹는 게 좋은 것 같고요. 계전이나 지금이나. 제가 좀 잘 큰 상황이어서 좀 과감하게 시도할 수 있었던 것 같아요.
그러면 혹시 용 오더는 어떤 선수가 내리나요?
용 오더 같은 경우는 전체적으로 하는 것 같아요.
전체적으로 용 오더를 하는군요. 블레스 선수가 롤모델이 LOL 플레이어가 아닌 스타크래프트 이재동 선수라고 들었어요.
아, 네.
네, 굉장히 공격적으로 하면서 안정적인 운영과 컨트롤이 인상 깊다 이런 말씀을 하셨는데
네.
오늘 블레스 선수의 니달리 아마 이재동 선수가 플레이했다면 블레스 선수 같지 않았을까 하는 생각이 들어요.
네.
네, 오늘 6킬 2데스 8호씨로 1세트 MVP까지 차지하셨는데 본인의 니달리 만족하시나요?
초중반은 만족했는데 제가 좀 상대 정글러보다 2레벨, 3레벨 앞섰는데 강타 싸움에서 진 것도 그렇고 제가 2번이나 죽은 것도 안 죽을 수 있었는데 죽어서 좀 아쉬워요.
네, 오늘 개막전 승리 기분 좋은 스타트를 끊으셨기 때문에 이번 시즌 더 좋은 경기 기대하도록 하겠습니다. 다시 한번 승리 축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
네, 오늘 경기 순위 한번 정리해 보겠습니다. 네, 롤챔스 서머 개막전 경기 결과
You're going to see our rankings here. Now we've only had 2 best of 3s so far, but that's going to be the Africa Freaks and Esports Club Ever coming out with wins here tonight over CJ ENTUS and Longzhu Gaming irrespectively. So nice to see strong starts from both of those teams, and looking forward to seeing both those teams and the rest of the teams here in this season of LCK. This is going to be one of the most competitive seasons of LCK ever. Would you agree with that, LS?
Yeah, probably will be. I'm just really excited to see the first few weeks with all the changes that have occurred to some of the rosters. And I think that we're going to have some exciting games before the first 4 weeks occur.
I mean, they've already been super exciting. We've seen some interesting strats and seen maybe some underdogs start to be overdogs here. Not sure what an overdog looks like. Maybe it's like a hot dog, but we'll find that out on next week's broadcast of LCK. Don't forget, we've got even more LCK coming up. We've got 6 out of 7 days. We've got LCK coming your way all the time here. So if you guys are big fans of the Korean scene, you are going to get a lot of action. So just we want to say thank you guys so much for watching this season of LCK. Starting off with a bang. So we're looking forward to seeing you guys back here again. Any final words before we close things out, LS?
No, just thanks for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed the cast.
Well, this was our first cast, so if you have any feedback, we'd love to hear what you guys have to say about it. We love you guys. We do want to thank you all for watching us here tonight. We're going to have a little bit of an extended closing here, but we should be, looking to wrap things up. It's been a long day. It's been a good day, and I'm excited to see even more teams. I think we've got broadcasts through the rest of the week, except for Sunday, and then we'll be right back here on Monday for for even more LCK. It's been a great experience to come down here to the Nexon Arena. It's absolutely packed out. So lots of fans here for both teams. And if you guys are in Seoul, South Korea, make sure to come on down. We will see you guys next week. More LCK here for myself, for LS, for all of us here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.